Hi, my name's Eric. I'll be reading you selections from the e-edition of today's Cape Cod Times. Today's date is Friday, August 2nd of 2024, and we'll start with the weather, as we always do. Today across the Cape and Islands, humid with thunderstorms around in the afternoon, high of 86 expected. Tonight in the overnight, thunderstorms around early, cloudy and humid, a low of 73. Tomorrow, Saturday, partly sunny and humid with a stray afternoon thunderstorm. Sunday looks to be breezy with showers and a heavier thunderstorm both days. Highs in their low 80s, lows in the low 70s overnight. On Monday, humid with thunderstorms in spots in the morning, high of 85, low of 69. And on Tuesday, mostly cloudy, couple of showers, high of 79, low of 66. So steady thunderstorms, humidity, a little bit of rain, occasional sun maybe on tomorrow, Saturday, but basically kind of iffy and humid, uncomfortable weather. The sun will rise at 5:37 a.m. today. It'll set at 7:57 p.m. We'll have 14 hours and 20 minutes of daylight. The moon will rise at 3:13 a.m. and set at 7:22 p.m. Heading to the front of the paper where the lottery results are kept. We read these because somebody asked for them. If there's something you would like read to people who are blind or print disabled, you can email us at info@audiblelocalledger.org or call us at 508-539-2030 and we'll consider reading it. And if you miss any of the information that we share in our readings, you can always go to audiblelocalledger.org, and in the upper right corner is the Archived Readings tab. If you click on that, you'll find a week's worth of our newspaper readings so you can catch up on anything you might have missed, as well as our shopping guides are up there for what is on sale at the grocery store. All of that free for people who are blind or print disabled at audiblelocalledger.org, the Archived Readings tab. For the latest lottery results, we go to the masslottery.com website because the Cape Cod Times goes to press too early to give it to you. And if you ask for them, you certainly deserve the latest numbers. So with the results for the numbers game of Thursday, August 1st, in the midday drawing, those numbers were 2, 7, 8, 8. Yesterday's midday drawing numbers in the numbers game, 2, 7, 8, 8. The evening drawing for the numbers game of Thursday, August 1st, 9, 1, 2, 3. Again, last night's evening drawing numbers game results, 9, 1, 2, 3. Mass cash for Thursday, August 1st, 8, 12, 32, 33, and 35. And Lucky for Life rounds out our lottery results for Thursday, August 1st with 3, 25, 36, 41, and 42, with 14 the bonus number. Good luck to all who play. Remember us if you win. Heading to the front page of today's Cape Cod Times, the headline reads, Lawsuit Against Barnstable Council Dismissed by Heather McCarran. A group of residents has dropped its lawsuit against the town of Barnstable tied to Avangrid Renewables' plans to bring power cables ashore at Craigville Beach and route them through Centerville's historic Main Street as part of the company's New England Wind 1 project. Filed in Barnstable Superior Court July 18th, the residents' lawsuit argued that the Barnstable Town Council improperly met behind closed doors to broker a side deal with Avangrid to release easements allowing the company's offshore project, formerly known as Park City Wind, to proceed. The decision to drop the legal action came after the town filed an affidavit in court saying the council met in executive or closed session to discuss matters related to possible litigation. Discussion of legal strategy is one of the 10 exemptions in the open meeting law, allowing for public bodies to call for private sessions. The possible litigation was listed on the council's meeting agendas over the last few months when executive sessions were scheduled. The Town Council's executive session discussions and votes regarding the proposed Park City Wind offshore renewable wind project in the town fully complied with the requirements of the open meeting law, and we're pleased that this lawsuit has been dismissed, said Barnstable Town Attorney Karen Nober in a statement that was issued on Monday afternoon. The council discussed the terms of the side agreement in executive session on June 13th, and members voted 7-5 to direct the town manager to finalize the deal. The terms of the agreement were publicly announced by Nober at the council's June 27th town council meeting, surprising many residents who attended the meeting thinking they were going to be able to participate in a discussion on the matter. Attorney Edward Kirk, who is among the 9 Waquiquit Lake area residents who filed suit, explained that based on the town's affidavit, the court last Thursday denied the residents' request for a preliminary injunction that would have continued to hold the easements in escrow while their complaint was active. That was a significant decision, which made the path ahead longer, more narrow, and more difficult for a number of reasons, he noted in an email on Monday. As a result, I have voluntarily dismissed our Superior Court complaint. Release of the easements is conditional upon the company winning a new offshore wind contract through the state's current offshore wind solicitation. With awards anticipated to be announced August 7th, the residents were immediately requesting a temporary restraining order to block issuance of the easements until their complaint could be heard, and ultimately looking to the court to nullify the agreement pending rediscussion in public session. In a telephone call on Tuesday, Kirk said that while residents could still have opted for a hearing on their complaint in 30 days, there wasn't going to be much point in continuing because by then the easements could be released if Avangrid wins a new wind contract next week. The residents' 21-page complaint against the town had also named Barnstable Town Manager Mark Ells and Anderson and Krieger, an outside law firm the town hired to help negotiate with Avangrid. Kirk said he can understand the council going into executive session to discuss legal strategy, but in his opinion, the vote should have been done in public. The side agreement at issue supplements the host community agreement that's associated with the 791-megawatt New England Wind 1 offshore project, providing additional money and other concessions to the town while simultaneously lifting a hold on granting the easements to the company, according to the town's legal team. Last October, the council had called for a pause on officially signing off on the easements because of uncertainty about the project's status after Avangrid withdrew from a deal with Connecticut because of changing market conditions, choosing to seek a new contract under better terms through the current multi-state bidding process. At the June 27th council meeting, when the terms were made public, several residents let the council know that they were very unhappy with the deal, some calling it a gut punch. The behind-the-scenes decision, they said, deprived residents of the right to be heard on a topic of great interest to the town at large. A delicious guide is our next headline, keeping it local on the front page of today's Cape Cod Times of August 2nd, a Friday. Find a Cape Cod farmer's market near you by Eric Williams. Harvest season's rolling over Cape Cod like a monster zucchini. Tomatoes are ripening on the vine, cucumbers are pining to be pickled, and lean green beans are making the scene. It's the perfect time to visit a Cape Cod farmer's market. You'll find a bounty of locally grown goodness, the kind of fresh, tasty stuff that will wow anyone lucky enough to sit at your dinner table. And the friendly farmer's market vibe will have you grinning when you're not chewing. So we put together a guide to Cape Cod farmers markets just in time to celebrate National Farmers Market Week, August 4th through 10th. Find a farmers market near you, peruse the just-picked delights, and enjoy the best food this side of the bridges. Where to find farmers markets on Cape Cod in 2024. On the Upper Cape, the Falmouth Farmers Market meets Thursdays noon to 5 p.m., May 30th to October 17th at Marine Park on Scranton Ave in Falmouth. The Mashpee Farmers Market, featuring Knockabout Beer Garden, meets on Sundays from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Memorial Day to Columbus Day at 4 Job's Fishing Road in Mashpee. The Sandwich Farmers Market meets Tuesdays at 9 a.m. to noon on June 18th to October 15th at 1131 Sandwich Road, that's Route 6A in Sagamore, on the Sandwich-Bourne Town Line. In the Mid-Cape, the Bass River Farmers Market meets Thursdays and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., June 13th to September 7th at 311 Old Main Street in South Yarmouth. Osterville Farmers Market meets Fridays at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., early June through mid-September at the Osterville Historical Museum, 155 West Bay Road in Osterville. On the Lower Cape, the Chatham Farmers Market meets Tuesdays, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., May 14th to October 22nd. Our Lady of Grace Catholic Church, 60 Meeting House Road in Chatham. Orleans Farmers Market meets Saturdays year-round, May to August, 8 a.m. to noon, September to November, 9 a.m. to noon, 21 Old Colony Way in Orleans. The Winter Market, December to April, meets 10 a.m. to noon at 44 Main Street in Orleans. On the Outer Cape, the Provincetown Farmers Market meets Saturdays 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. May 18th to October 26th. That's at Ryder Street in Provincetown. And there's parking at town lots there. Truro Educational Farmers Market meets Mondays 8 a.m. to noon, June 3rd to August 26th, 20 Truro Center Road in Truro. The Wellfleet Farmers Market meets Wednesdays at 8 a.m. to noon, May 22nd to October 16th at the First Congregational Church of Wellfleet, 200 Main Street in Wellfleet. Editorial note, Eric Williams writes about a variety of ways to enjoy the Cape, the weather, wildlife, and other subjects. You can contact him at ewilliams@capecodonline.com. Keeping it local with an unpleasant headline, guilty plea by Harwich resident for owning child sexual abuse material by Zane Razak. Pleads guilty to separate charges on May 23rd. A 35-year-old Harwich man pleaded guilty last week in federal court in Boston to one count of possessing child sexual abuse material, according to the Office of Joshua Levy, the acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts. Jonathan Fleischman was arrested and charged May 16th of 2023 and remains in federal custody. U.S. District Court Judge Allison D. Burroughs has scheduled sentencing for October 16th. Between March 17th and 18th of 2023, Fleischman's co-workers saw his cell phone downloading suspected child sexual abuse media files at work, according to the affidavit. The phone was left open and charging on a counter at their workplace when it happened, according to the statement. A subsequent search of the device found about 255 images and 55 videos that contained suspected child sexual abuse materials, according to the affidavit. On May 23rd, Fleischman pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 12 years in state prison for separate state charges in Barnstable Superior Court for invading a Yarmouth home and forcibly taking a 16-year-old female at gunpoint into her house as she came home from school in 2020, according to Levy's office. That investigation also revealed that Fleischman had accessed a dark web hidden service on his cell phone dedicated to the trafficking of child sexual abuse material. Fleischman is a registered Level 3 sex offender in Massachusetts due to previous convictions of indecent assault and battery on a child under 14 in Barnstable District Court in 2006 and of open and gross lewdness in Barnstable Superior Court in 2017, according to an affidavit that was filed with court papers. Level 3 offenders have a high risk of reoffending and pose a high degree of danger to the public, according to the state website. The charge of possession of child sexual abuse materials provides for a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years and up to 20 years in prison, at least 5 years of supervised release, and a fine of up to $250,000. The case was brought as part of Project Safe Childhood, a nationwide initiative to combat child sexual exploitation and abuse, according to the statement. Launched in May 2006 by the Department of Justice, the project uses federal, state, and local resources to find and prosecute individuals who exploit children, as well as find and rescue the individuals harmed. Keeping it local in our half-hour reading of the Cape Cod Times for Friday, August 2nd, the Cape Cod Baseball League Roundup. We don't usually do too much in sports when it's national, but when it's local and specific to the Cape, like the Cape Cod Baseball League, we'll read you the scores. Grand Slam boosts Chatham. Chatham, whose record is 18-18, has a storybook fifth inning to remember with 2 grand slams and a 10-7 win over Hyannis, who is 21-14, on Wednesday night. In that frame, the Anglers scored 8 runs to break out of a 2-2 tie. The big blows were struck by Ashton Larson of Louisiana State, and Ty Johnson goes to Baylor. That rare feat put the game out of reach. Chatham's Quinn Holt pitched 4 1/3 innings, allowing 2 runs but no earned. And Hyannis's Blake Cavill of Western Kentucky had a hit and 2 RBIs. Hyannis scored on 3 bases-loaded walks plus a sacrifice fly in the top of the ninth, but it wasn't enough. In other Cape League games, it was the Bourne Braves 8, the Wareham Gatemen 3, and the Orleans Firebirds 3, and the Cotuit Kettleers 0. There is no local news and no obituaries in today's Cape Cod Times. So we'll move on to the front page's international and national news. Israel says it killed October 7th's architect by John Bacon. Hamas military chief Mohammed Deif, an alleged mastermind of the October 7th assault on Israel that triggered the Israel-Hamas war, was killed in an airstrike in the southern Gaza Strip last month, the Israel military said on Thursday. The military and the Israeli security agency Shin Bet said Deif's death was confirmed earlier on Thursday, citing an intelligence assessment. Deif, and that's spelled D-E-I-F, had survived at least 7 Israeli assassination attempts and for decades had topped Israel's most wanted list. Hamas has not commented on Israel's claim of Deif's death. The announcement came one day after Hamas's top political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, was killed in an apparent assassination at a residence in Tehran, Iran. Hamas has blamed Israel, which has not commented on Haniyeh's killing. And on Tuesday, Israel announced it had killed Hezbollah commander Fouad Shukr outside the Lebanese capital of Beirut. Hezbollah leader Syed Hassan Nasrallah told a national audience in Lebanon it was definite. The militant group would seek payback for Shukri's killing. We're looking for a real response, not a performative response, and for real opportunities, a studied response, Nasrallah said. The killings and Israeli incursions into foreign territory have heightened concerns about the war in Gaza turning into a regional conflict, with possible U.S. involvement to support its Israeli allies. President Joe Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu were scheduled to talk on the phone Thursday amid the growing tensions, the Times of Israel reported. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was asked at a Thursday briefing with reporters about the risks of an all-out war in the Middle East. We have been laser-focused on trying to prevent that wider war since October 7th, Sullivan said. There have been moments that have required intensive efforts to keep a lid on things. The risk has always been there, and the risk remains today. And we believe we do have to be engaging in intensive efforts now through deterrence, through de-escalation, through diplomacy to prevent a wider war, and we will continue to do that. 10 airlines have now canceled flights to Israel because of the increased tensions with Iran, the Times of Israel reported. That list includes Delta, United, Lufthansa, Air India, and Fly Dubai. Some plan to resume flights as early as Friday. The Israeli military said in a statement that Deif was killed when fighter jets attacked the Khan Yunis area July 13th. Deif and several others also killed in the attack planned and carried out the murderous massacre on October 7th, the statement said. Hamas-led militants killed almost 1,200 people, seizing more than 200 others as hostages, triggering the Israeli assault on Gaza that's killed almost 40,000 Palestinians and left the enclave in ruins. Israel said Deif had been hiding in a building in an Israeli-designated humanitarian zone, a claim dismissed by Hamas as nonsense. Gaza health officials said more than 70 Palestinians were killed and hundreds injured in the raid. Deif, whose deputy Marwan Issa was killed in a March airstrike, was a key planner for the group's network of tunnels and helped develop its bomb-making expertise. Israel said he's responsible for the deaths of dozens of Israelis in suicide bombings. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant called Deif's death a significant milestone in the effort to remove Hamas as a military force and the governing authority in Gaza. This operation reflects the fact that Hamas is disintegrating and that Hamas terrorists may either surrender or they will be eliminated, Gallant said. Meanwhile, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, led a funeral prayer for Hania in Tehran on Thursday. Khamenei has pledged a harsh response against Israel for the killing of Iranian officials, and they were meeting on Thursday with militant leaders from Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen to plan their response. How Iran and the resistance front will respond is currently being reviewed. This will certainly happen, and the Zionist regime of Israel will undoubtedly regret it. General Mohammad Bakeri, Iran's armed forces chief of staff, told state TV on Thursday. Hamas's armed wing has said in a statement Hania's killing would take the battle to new dimensions and have major repercussions. Vowing to retaliate, Iran said the U.S. bore responsibility because of its support for Israel. All fronts of the resistance will take revenge for Hania's blood, Ali Akbar Ahmadian, the secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, told Iran's semi-official Mehr news agency. Israeli Air Force Chief Tomer Bar, speaking at a military graduation ceremony in Israel late on Wednesday, warned Israel will act against anyone planning to harm its citizens. We're also strongly prepared in defense. Hundreds of aerial defense soldiers, along with air control personnel, are stationed across the country with the best systems ready to carry out their mission, said Barr. Harris says Americans deserve better than Trump by Joey Garrison is our next headline from the Cape Cod Times of August 2nd in Washington. Vice President Kamala Harris said the American people deserve better as she responded to former President Donald Trump's combative interview at the National Association of Black Journalists' annual convention that included false claims about her racial identity. It was the same old show, the divisiveness and the disrespect, Harris said Wednesday night in a speech to members of a historically black sorority, Sigma Gamma, during its 60th biennial bool. And let me just say, the American people deserve better, Harris added. The American people deserve a leader who tells the truth, a leader who does not respond with hostility and anger when confronted with facts. We deserve a leader who understands that our difference and differences do not divide us. They are an essential source of our strength. In his interview earlier Wednesday with the NABJ, Trump questioned the black racial identity of Harris, the presumptive Democratic nominee who's half black and half Indian American. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black, Trump said of Harris. Is she Indian or is she black? Because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she went to become a black person. Harris, whose father is Jamaican and mother Indian, attended Howard University, a historically black college. Trump's assertions came as Harris is enjoying polling momentum in her new campaign for president after President Joe Biden dropped out of the race on July 21st. The Trump campaign is set out aggressively to define Harris, and calling into question her racial identity appears to be part of that strategy. Crazy Kamala is saying she's Indian, not black. This is a big deal. Stone cold phony. She uses everybody, including her racial identity, Trump wrote in a post on Truth Social, doubling down on his false claims from his interview. Speaking at a campaign rally in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania later Wednesday night, Trump accused Harris of adopting a new Southern accent during remarks she gave the previous night at a campaign event in Atlanta. A big screen above Trump's stage prior to his remarks at the rally featured a photo of a smiling Harris and a 2016 Associated Press headline that read, California's Kamala Harris becomes first Indian American U.S. Senator. Warming up for Trump at the rally, his attorney, Alina Habba, told the crowd of Trump supporters, "Unlike you, Kamala, I know who my roots are. I know where I come from." Trump's vice presidential running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, in a speech Wednesday in Arizona, said Kamala Harris is a phony who caters to whatever audience is in front of her. It isn't the first time Trump allies have targeted Harris's race. Similar suggestions were made in 2019 about Harris when she was a presidential candidate in the Democratic primary. And speaking of Kamala Harris, Harris closing in on a choice for her vice presidential pick. Expected to announce running mate decision in coming days by Swapna Vanugal Ramaswamy and Joey Garrison in Washington. Vice President Kamala Harris and her vetting team are interviewing running mate finalists at the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee nears a decision for her pick of vice president by early next week, according to a source familiar with the process and multiple media reports. Harris's vetting team has already met in private with Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Politico and Bloomberg reported. The vice president also plans to hold sit-down talks with her leading candidates as she approaches her final pick, as Democrats ready for their national convention in Chicago starting August 19th. Democratic campaign aides have cautioned against reading too deeply into any one particular meeting Harris or her team is holding, as it concludes a truncated vetting process for a job that would potentially make the person holding it next in the line of presidential succession. They've also downplayed the location of Harris's first scheduled event with her to-be-announced running mate on Tuesday in Philadelphia, the biggest city in a battleground state that's led by Shapiro, that will feature its 2024 White House ticket. The Harris campaign is engaged in a rapid vice presidential vetting process since President Joe Biden's decision to drop his re-election bid and endorse his vice president's quest to win the White House in November. Harris's campaign confirmed this week that a vice presidential pick will come before Tuesday's event in Philadelphia. Additional stops are planned next week in western Wisconsin, Detroit, Raleigh, North Carolina, Savannah, Georgia, Phoenix, and Las Vegas. The process for Harris to name her running mate has been further accelerated by the Democratic National Committee's self-imposed August 7th deadline to virtually confirm the party's presidential and vice presidential nominees ahead of the Democratic National Convention later in the month. The next headline: Nashville saw the highest growth of white people, and jobs may be the reason, by Todd Price of the Nashville Tennessean. The white population in America declined last year, according to the latest Census Bureau estimates, but in Nashville's metropolitan area, it surged more than anywhere else in the country. Across America in 2023, the census counted more than 195 million white people, down nearly 500,000, or 0.2%, from the year before. That accounts for just over half the total U.S. population of about 334 million people. Overall, the country's population grew by 1.64 million people. Nearly three-quarters of that growth came from the Hispanic population, where births outnumbered deaths by a wide margin. The greater Nashville metropolitan area, however, saw the country's largest growth in its white population, which increased by 16,858 people, according to the census. The Nashville metro area, which in the census calculation includes Davidson County, Murfreesboro, and Franklin, had a total population of about 2.1 million people in 2023. That's up more than 31,000 people from the year before. We're seeing an influx of whites over other minorities, and I think it has to do with the type of jobs and industries that are coming here. Shirley Rainey Brown, a sociologist and dean of Fisk University's School of Humanities and Behavioral Sciences, said, "More companies around Nashville need to recruit minority applicants to increase the state's diversity," Rainey Brown said. Tennessee's recently seen an influx of people from California, which could also explain the growing white population. A lot of people who are cashing out of California and are selling their homes there for a lot of money are coming here, said Ken Chilton, professor of public administration at Tennessee State University. Nashville has been a main Tennessee destination for emigrating Californians, but Chattanooga has also seen an influence from the state, Chilton said. And with that interesting trivia, We've come to the end of our reading of the Cape Cod Times for Friday, August 2nd of 2024. This is your reader, Eric, saying be well, be safe, look after each other. Remember our veterans, especially those who've recently passed. Bye for now.